Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Yay! Finally, man.
Okay, okay.
It's showtime, baby. We live.
Showtime.
What's going on, brother Ed?
But it's a delay. It's
Yeah,
a
I think
delay.
it's a slight delay on my end. So when I'm talking to you, it's coming in slower.
Yeah, it's a delay. It's delaying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, what's making it do that?
I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be internet connection. It could just be the speed. It's in regards to that. It's not just it, it's not just like the app itself. It's a number of factors that can play into the speed, such as the internet connection, the Wi-Fi speed on both ends.
So that was the light line ain't blinking.
Hmm. Well,
It's not too
All right.
bad. Yeah.
I mean, see, this
Okay.
part.
you want to run with it like that?
Yeah, let's try it out.
All right.
Oh,
How you doing? So YouTube, Facebook. I got my brother Ed, longtime friend. Hey, he's been doing subject to investing since Moses.
That's a bunch of
Subject to
years.
investing. I would say the Mr. Cash Flow King. 'Cause I remember I was started off, I was just wholesaling houses, that market tank, and he had built this business on that cash flow. And boy, when that market tank, boy, I went to the bottom. But Ed had them cash flowing properties, them subject twos. He just was living comfortable. Hey, easy, made in this shade, baby. So brother Ed, how long have you been investing in real estate?
I think I got started in 1994.
Wow. Yeah. And so, like I was telling everybody, you're pretty good with the subject to business. What's the most subject twos you had at one time?
Ooh, gosh, I had upwards of 40 something at one time.
Whoa. 40 subject to houses, guys. And what would
Yep,
you say your average cash flow on that was a month
$200 a month.
of each property?
Yes.
Wow. And just think about that, guys. You got all those non-refundable down payments. You got cash flow, $200 a piece, and you got tenants in on a lease purchase, and you don't have to do any repairs. That's way better than renting out a property. Ed, would you rent out some properties?
I will on occasion. It's not the end of the world.
Right. So what would you prefer to lease them out or rent it out?
I kind of like both in a sense. If you look at the lease with an option to purchase, I guess your advantages is like you just described. One good advantage is you can eliminate the maintenance and kind of pass that over on to the potential tenant buyer. And secondly, the lease with an option to purchase will actually also give you, like you said earlier, the non-refundable. Uh, we don't want to call it a deposit. If you use the word deposit in most states, it's returnable. So we call it a fee, a non-refundable option fee. So we eliminate the word deposit.
Okay. Okay. So I would say, are you still currently buying subject twos to this day?
Oh yes, I will never stop. Actually, just closed on the last one in September of this year.
It's kind of loud in your background up there. Kind of hard to hear you a little bit.
Okay, hold on for a second. Hold on a second.
Yes, guys. So, like I was saying, man, my brother Ed been doing this subject to thing for a long time. Yes, you want to do wholesale deals. You want to do, deals to make you quick money, wholesale lease option deals. But you got to think about it, guys. When them deals are not closing, something happens. Just say you get sick for a month or two, you can't flip a property. Then what are you gonna do? How you gonna pay your bills? So you got to really base your business on. You got to start building that cash flow also. But that can be the lifeline of your business. That keep your business afloat, keep your business going when you got that cash flow going. Nothing like that cash flow. That's king. Would you agree, Ed?
Exactly. I'm trying to get a good connection here.
Okay. That cash flow is king, guys. Yes, you can flip some houses. Yeah, that's cool. But at the end of the day, you want that residual income. So you can sit back on the beach 10 years, 15 years later, you got you about a good 30, 40, 50,000 coming in residual. Got your bills at a nice, nice, what I say, rate. Like just say you got 50,000 coming in. You don't want your bills to be 50,000 either, you know. So you want to keep your bills at a nice, what is it? I can't think of it right now. But you don't want your expenses higher than your income. So you want to make sure you have that cash flow coming. So now, Ed, what would you say? How many properties you would say you got now subject to? I know you've been selling off some, so that's a major benefit too, guys, because you get the cash flow and you get the cash out of these properties in the future. So you just think about it. The three things I love about the subject to: non-refundable down payment. Well, it's a couple of things. Non-refundable down payment. Um, what's the other thing? Non-refundable down payment. You get paid when you're leasing it out every month, and you cash out on the back end once you sell the property. But I would say, what percentage, Ed, would you say actually buy?
I'm losing my connection,
Okay,
Eddie.
can you hear me now?
Hold on. Yes, go ahead.
I said, what percentage would you say actually buy these properties on a when you put them in when you got the subject to it, you put them in on a lease purchase? What percentage would you say actually purchase these houses?
You're gonna have about 1 to 2% of them that actually cash you out, if that's your question. You it's okay if you don't get cashed out, but I mean, when it does come, that's a nice 20, $30,000 pop. So it's exciting when it does happen. But the major thing is you're allowing your tenant buyer to actually pay the mortgage down, and you are creating some equity in the property as a result of that. So it's a lot of good things that are happening way. So it's very lucrative. It's no way to actually lose. You can't really lose.
Right. And what year would you say you got your first subject to? I know when you got in the game, you could assume the mortgages, right? At first.
When I first got, yeah, you're exactly right. That's a very good point. When I got started, they had what was called non-qualifying, non-escalating loans. So I did get one or two of those. I think in 1989 they stopped doing that. Then they made you qualify, but um, the other loophole came about as a result also of the subject to and to help students understand subject to. Each time you say that, you really got to say also subject to the existing financing, so it doesn't confuse you. And
Right.
that's what help people to get their mind around what is subject to. Just saying subject to for a layperson, they can't really grasp that in their mind, so you have to add a few other terminologies to it to help students understand subject to the existing loan that's already on the property.
Mm, right. Yeah, because a lot of people think a subject to is the same as assuming a loan. But I tell them it's not. Assuming a loan, you have to produce documents and all that stuff to the bank. But with a subject to, the only thing you got to do is talk. Go directly to the seller. So that's a thing I see a lot of new investors trying to get their mind around. They think you gotta go to the bank and ask them, can you do a subject to? Have you went to the bank, Ed, and asked them?
No, no, to help again understanding a subject to the way to wrap it around in your mind to help you kind of really get a full understanding of it is one way you ask for permission, another way you just take it over without permission. So that's basically when you producing documents, that's basically what you're doing. You asking for permission. If you don't have to produce documents, which is subject to, now you're not asking for permission. You're just doing what the bank really want anyone to do, and that's to pay the mortgage.
Right.
And that's what you're doing. You're taking it over for say. You're taking over that existing loan that's already, and the banks accept your money just like they would the original seller, the
Right.
owner of the property.
Right. So you don't have to go down to the bank. As long as you're making those payments, they don't really care. They don't care. And like I tell some people, if you go to land trust now, that's a whole different scenario. But like you and me, Ed, we're trained to buy in land trust. So I mean, a lot of people are worried about the due on sale clause. Have you seen that? Have you seen a lender call that because of the subject to?
No, that has never occurred, and it probably never will occur. And that's the purpose of learning about a land trust or a trust in general, because technically, what the trust says, which is an animal in itself, is that I can transfer my home into a trust without anyone's permission. So technically, that's what it looks like to the lender, is that the owner of the property transferred his or her property into a trust, and that's the power behind the land trust.
Yeah, I love land trust, man. Every property I put in a land trust. Every single one of them. Let's protect
Yes.
your asset. That's why I was telling, some of my people, you look up Donald Trump and all the super wealthy and stuff, you won't find any properties in their name. Most of them are smarter than that. So that's when you sue most of them, you'll be practicing because you can't find
Yeah.
anything.
Right. Yeah. You're talking about a way of life that you don't really want the world to know how many properties you have that you controlling, and
Bell, I need
you
you to be
certainly
quiet. I'm on a phone call, please.
you certainly want the you want it to look like to the lender that you actually helping the seller of the property. In reality, you are, because you're making the payments. You're making the payments, and that's what the mortgage company want anyway, payments to be made. And eventually, our goal is to bring a brand new loan in there and pay that loan off. And gosh, the banks really love you when you do that.
Oh yeah, cash out.
Cash out.
Now another question I have a lot of viewers asking me is about the insurance. I heard so many different things about the insurance. Some people say, you leave the current um, seller on the insurance policy, then you add yourself on there. I done heard people say you cancel the seller policy and you just put a whole new policy on there. From what's the best? What would you say the best way to go with it?
I've done it both ways. I don't really believe that one way is more efficient than the other way. I've never had to actually use any insurance. Actually, never really had a actual claim, so I've never really run into a problem either way. I still do to this day, do them both ways. If you learn both ways, great. If you run into a problem with one, then just do the other one.
Right.
But it's best to just learn both ways. And like you described, you can leave it in the seller's name, the policy that's all. Probably most of the time, I in most cases, I get a better policy than what the seller had. So
Right.
in most of my subject to properties, I will transfer his name away from that property and just get a whole new policy in my name, actually the trust name, um, and therefore I get a better policy. And when that occur, when you look at the escrow will be less because now you got a lower policy for your escrow,
Right.
which in turns decreases the mortgage payment, which increases your cash flow. So that's probably the best way. If you can go out and get a better policy yourself, then it would be very, very smart to do that and get a lower premium on the insurance. In most cases, it's better off to actually get a new policy because when you think about it, the homeowner had a homeowner's policy which covers the uh, content of the home. Well, as us as investors, we don't need to cover the content because the
Right.
content in the home is not ours as investors. So what we get is called a wind and hail damage policy, which
Right.
makes it less expensive. And
Now,
that's what you, as you navigating through these ways to increase your cash flow, you learn these strategies along the way. You're not going to get it all at once, but you'll learn a lot of these strategies along the way to increase your cash flow.
that's what you want to do. Increase that cash flow as much as possible.
Yep.
Now, do you when you put your tenant buyers in the house, how long do you give them before you make them responsible for the repairs? I typically do about 30 days, and you're responsible for you're responsible after 30 days. I let them do a walkthrough and live in the property a little bit, see what's wrong with it, and give them 30 days to make any claims that things need to be fixed. We don't find anything after that, it's on you.
Yeah, that's a way that you can do it. I don't actually do mine that way. When they move in and sign that lease, the day that they sign that lease, my properties are as is. I have a clause in there that basically says anything under $300 or you know um, anything under $300, I'll take care of it. Anything over $300, it's their responsibility. If it's a 1 year lease, 2 year lease, or 3 year lease, that's the way I structure my deals.
Right.
It works both ways. It's no way is better than the other way. It's just
Yeah.
different
Your
ways of doing
preference.
it. Yeah, it's just personal preferences.
Yeah. I like that, man. I love subject to. Now, a lot also, guys, make sure you got an attorney that understands subject to and likes subject to. I had an attorney Ed. I sent this guy. Now he's good with all my wholesale transactions, but I didn't know he was against subject to. So I sent one of my sellers that I was trying to negotiate with. I sent him to this guy, man. This guy totally discouraged him from doing the subject to. I'm like, what the hell? Totally discouraged. He talking about banks, they gonna stop doing that eventually. I'm like, man, whose side are you on? The banks or the us, the clients? Man, it really, man. He synced the deal. He said, yeah, you can do it, but I don't like them. I don't agree with the subject twos. Man, I was like, oh my God. So make sure you guys get an attorney that understand and like subject to. Because like I tell people, they think just because an attorney is an attorney, They think that all attorneys do everything. All attorneys specialize in everything. Like it's a lot of attorneys I've talked to about land trust, and they like, huh? They don't even understand land trust. So you need to make sure your attorney specialize in these things before you even go to sending people to him. Make sure he specializes in this stuff first, because if he doesn't, he's confused mind is going to say no. He's going to tell the people the same crap, and your deal is going to be over with.
Yeah, that's right. That is definitely a big plus in doing this business and doing it the way that we do it. Is that on your team, you must have an awesome attorney who definitely understands subject to. I have never had that problem right there, Eddie. But um, what I do really recommend is that when anyone learn how to do subject to, you know, technically they just got to ask, the attorney a few questions to kind of interview him or her to make sure this is the person, I want to, to be doing my deals for me. Um, but here's a big part of interviewing an attorney, because there's documents that's called disclosures. You have to make sure, you as an investor have to make sure that everything revolving that transaction is disclosed.
Right.
That is the main key in doing these kind of transactions. Disclosures, disclosures, disclosures.
Yes, sir. CYA letters, man. That cover your butt, cover your assets.
Yes.
Some say cover your ass. Yeah, either way it goes, it's the same.
Yes.
Shoot. Them disclosures, if even you end up have to ever go to court about any properties or subject to and stuff, you got them disclosures signed, man, you in the game. I had to go to court one time about a subject to. I think I told you about the guy who kept moving in. And I showed him this disclosure he signed. Oh man, the judge canceled the he closed the case out. But the guy, see, I had an attorney, man, you gotta watch these attorneys. I had a rip-off attorney. He knew about these disclosures, so he could have presented it the first time we went to court with the guy and we had the victim, but he didn't never present it. So the guy moved in, because I found out once we had the disclosures, we could have found a TPO on, I think it's TRO, temporary restraining order.
Protective order.
And if he would have came
Protective
back to
order.
yeah, if he would have came back to the property again, we could have had him arrested. But the attorney didn't present that. So the guy moved in again like a year later. I don't know how he kept finding out the property was vacant. But it came vacant again and he moved right back in the house here. I had to do the same thing to get him evicted. And this last time after we showed, I had to tell the judge about the disclosure because I felt like it was something a little fishy. But I'm like, why he didn't tell this judge this the first time? And every time I had to get him, it's $1,500 every time I hired the attorney. So he was banking on that 1,500. So
Right.
you live and learn. So you make
Yeah.
sure you gotta make
Yeah.
sure
I've
you have.
actually never.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right. I actually never had a particular case like that for, say, Eddie. Um, I guess if I had to really just think about a case in relationship to the um, prior owner of the property, I guess the things that I could think about when it relates to the sellers is that sometimes while you still in possession of the property. Now it's the land trust owns the property, and you have a trustee who controls the property. What I have seen is that these original sellers will file bankruptcy.
Mm,
And when they file bankruptcy, you just got to understand that in most cases they put the house in the bankruptcy, but it's not a scary situation. As long as you continue to make the payments, you'll be okay. So you might think it'll frighten you or you're going to lose the property or something like that, but you really won't. All you just got to make sure is that you continue to make the mortgage payments. That's your key.
Oh, okay. And the trustee will be cool with that.
Yes, yes, yes.
I didn't know that. Thank you for that information. Because some people, I thought when they go through that bankruptcy, you have problems with the trustee. But I guess if it's you're right, if it's current, they don't even have a reason to even mess with it because they want the stuff that you behind on anyway. So that makes a lot of sense.
That's
Wow.
right.
So you're still buying subject twos every month, right?
I may not purchase one every month. I think I market every month, but I kind of pick and choose the type of deals that I want now. Once you get so many, you can pick and choose, what type of deal you want, where you want it. For me, I look now for, newer properties. I have a more of a personal preference now. I'm looking more at, say, 4 bedrooms instead of 3 bedrooms. This last deal that we just done in Savannah, Georgia, it's a 4 bedroom and it also has 3-car garage. So I'm looking more at, larger properties, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath instead of 2 bath, 3-car garage instead of two-car garages. So I'm looking more at properties like that now, and that's my personal preference now.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so many guys you could pick and choose, like my brother here. Pick and choose them. Yeah, it's so many, man. People don't believe these people sell these houses subject to. Take it from both
Well,
of us, guys. We've been doing this for a long time. Together, we probably got about, I got 13 years in the game. You probably have what, about 20 something?
yeah, from 94, gosh, I done lost count. Let's see, 94 to 2004, 2014, 24 years. Yes,
Yeah.
24 years.
So, guys, take it from us. That's 30, that's 40 years of real estate experience. People are still signing over these properties. It's debt relief, man. People have a lot of stress on their head. You come take it over, and then start making the payments on it, and hey, they're happy, you're happy. It's a win-win situation for everybody. And I always try to make sure I do the seller right, give them some money, depending on what they want. Now I'm not gonna go in a hole or in the red zone to pay them. The deal has to make sense. It's all about the numbers. But you want to make sure you treat the seller fairly, and make it a win-win situation. Live happily ever after. Cash out sometimes in the future. I'd never tell the seller, we're gonna cash out in the year because you never know. You put somebody in on a lease purchase, they could get financing in 2 or 3 months. They can get financing in 2 or 3 years. So we just tell them, we're gonna cash you out sometimes in the near future. What's your take on that, Ed? Do you tell the seller any dates or anything?
I agree with you. I don't throw any particular dates out there. And a lot of sellers will ask you because the loan is staying in their name. So they will ask you, when is this loan going to be paid off, or when you going to really sell it and get it out of my name? Well, that's like rubbing a crystal ball. So if you tell them the truth, my goal is to do it in a year or so, but sometimes that happens and sometimes it don't. Then you make it clear to them that it may or may not happen. As long as you straightforward with them and help them understand, and you just don't blatantly lie and say, well, okay, in 6 months I'll have this house sold. That is not what you want to do. You want to have some integrity about yourself and speak the truth. Well,
Right.
truthfully, I can't rub a crystal ball and say in 1 year I'll have it sold. So all I can tell you that, and this is the biggest part of your honesty, is look, Mr. Seller, I've got 20 grand in this house. So I want you to understand something, that the only way I'm going to get my 20,000 back is to sell the property.
Right.
So it is my goal to sell it to get my money back plus some profit. I'm in this for some profit. I'm not in this for my looks or for fun.
Right.
So to help the seller understand it, you have to speak that to that seller face to face and tell him straight up, I've got money in this transaction. I
Right.
need to make some money. So, and to piggyback off of what you said in terms of students really believing that people will do this, just my last deal, the best way to understand that people really will do this is to understand people's situations. You know,
Right.
you mentioned debt relief, okay? Well, to give the students an example of debt relief, here you had a husband in the military, wife living in the house, had a baby by another guy while the husband was overseas. The husband
Whoa.
got orders and went to North Carolina. The husband got orders through the court to sell the house, sell it now, split the money 50-50. So he wanted to be done with it. The seller wanted to be done with this house and done with this woman.
Right.
So that's a situation. And that's what will help people, all the students, understand the situation that this soldier was in, granted him the opportunity to find someone like me or you that can give him $9,000 and he can walk free, split it with his ex-wife at that time, no more strings attached, a fast transaction. I'm talking about a 2-week transaction. Ain't
Right.
nobody got to wait for approval from a loan.
Oh,
None of that. None of that. It's a done deal. I take care of the repairs. I'm not asking Mr. Seller to do any repairs. None of that. I take care of the closing costs. Mr. Seller, I'm not asking you to pay any closing costs. I'll take care of that too.
smooth transaction.
Smooth transaction, done deal. Now,
Did
what
you?
you need to probably do at some point, Eddie, is you need to probably on our next video is to show a couple of these pretty houses because seeing
Yeah.
is believing. Seeing is believing for a lot of people. And this same property that I'm talking about right now, when you see this property and you see how nice it is, then you can wrap your mind around the fact that it was a nice young man and his wife living life ever after, but saw
Right.
when something went wrong, the house in the middle of it
Every time.
every time.
So that divorce list, I tell some people that divorce list would be a good list too. Find some motivated sellers. I had one. Well, I had a couple of calls today. One needs so many repairs, man. It's ridiculous. We can only do a short sale on it. But she said, "Look, I'm done with the house. I deed it over. I don't care." But she situation is worth 200,000. 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. She owe 165 on it. She 20,000 behind, and she got about 20 or 30 more $1,000 in liens on there. Now it'll be a perfect short sale because it has all those liens. I could tear them up, but we don't have that much time. In Georgia's foreclosure, once you get that notice of default, you got about 4 weeks. You got to move fast. So now it's Thanksgiving. We only got. I talked to the lady today. We only got a week. What, a week and a half left. So there's nothing we can do because most banks, even if you're trying to do a short sale, you got to have the documents in usually about 2 weeks to a month ahead of time before the foreclosure date. So that one will not work. But however, I got a good one call in today, Ed. Check this one out. Same thing, husband and wife, but the husband was beating on the wife. He was beating on the wife, so he ended up, getting arrested. Now he's incarcerated. She wants to sell the house before he gets out. She owe 159 on it. It's worth about 220. She's $10,000 behind, and they need about 10,000 in repairs. So let's put her at, let's see, 165, 70, 85, 185. So 185. That's about it. Probably got about a good 30,000 in equity in it. About a good 30. So I'll offer about 5 grand. So I'm waiting on a response to see. Pretty good house, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Mortgage on it about 1350. I can only rent it out for about 1550, but hey, that's $200 free every month, and we get the benefit of debt pay down, and we get to write it off. Well, that's one thing too, guys. When you take them over subject to, you get the benefit, the tax benefits. Don't forget that.
Yes, but one clear point that I want to make for all the listeners is that situation that you just described right there. What you have to really make sure of in this situation, considering the husband is incarcerated, that you have a way, if he is on title, to get his signature.
Right.
If he's not on title, now this is a situation again. It's a little bit tricky, and these sometimes are the ones that you don't recommend some of these like that for the students. You want them to have what we call some clean transactions. This one is not so clean because of the fact that the could be the part owner of the property is incarcerated.
Yeah.
So that it makes it a little tricky, because here's the point I'm making here, and this is important. This is very important, that when you purchase that property, us as investors, we have to make sure that the wife, if she's the only one that can sign the house away, that she's the only one on title.
Right.
If she is the only one on title, then she has all the right to sign the house away. If not, then she would only have 50% of the house, and she can only sign 50% of the house away.
Yep.
But the husband who is incarcerated has the other 50%. So you have to just really be careful with these situations like that. Would you agree
Right.
with me?
Oh yes, sir. I had that situation before. Thank God on this one, it's just her on there. So I'm happy about that. Her thing is she want to get the heck on before he get out. So she already moved out the property. I guess he was. She said it the second time she had to call on him. So she's probably frightened a lot. So most likely she's gonna jump on that 5,000 because we only have a week and a half left. And like I told her, we got to get the payoff. We got to get the title search ran and all that stuff. So we're gonna need a couple of days. We're not just gonna make sure you guys don't just give people money and do a tabletop closing. You do not want to do that. Take your butt to attorney office and pay that money, because if you don't, they can get you for practicing law without a license and overturn that subject to, and hey, you just blew it.
Yes, yes, yes. I definitely want to clarify doing this the right way. And the right way is like you just described, get a title search, have your attorney do a title search to make sure, number one, that there's no liens against the property other than the property itself, and two, that who you're talking to as the owner slash seller is the only one on that title. So all of these things become important, and the only way you can learn a lot of this is you got to hear experienced people like us talk about it.
Right. And you got to get out there and get in the midst of it. A lot of people, man, they get scared, man. They just study all this stuff, man, and never take action. Or they listen to somebody say, "Oh, this don't work," or "This don't work." Look, man, listen to people like me or Ed who's doing this stuff all the time. Been doing this for 100 years. Seems like, and take action, man. Can't listen to people who it's like listening to a heart surgeon about trying to do a brain. You ask a heart surgeon how to work on somebody's brain, they're not gonna know. So talk to people who's really walking the walk, talking the talk, guys. Don't get out there and just and get you some education too, because you go out here without equipped, it's gonna be an expensive seminar.
Right. And I think what we can do uh, as an advantage for the students is to actually, on our next webinar, we could actually show the HUD settlement statement and show where that subject to the existing financing shows up. Show it on the HUD where
Yeah,
it shows up at. And when students can see this, makes it more believable when they see where it's supposed on that HUD settlement statement, which is a federal document that you get at the closing. When you see us show you this, then you know what to look for. Before you even go to your attorney's office, you ask him to send you what is called a preliminary HUD. A
right,
preliminary HUD is what you want to see before you even bicycle your way over to the attorney's office, so you can see these things that you're learning is on that HUD settlement statement and correct.
right. And you know it gotta be perfectly legal because it's on the HUD statement. If subject to is illegal, it will not be on the HUD one. So get your HUD if you ever did a closing before. I don't care how old the HUD is. It's most likely it's going to be on there. Look on there, usually on the first page, and you'll say take over mortgage subject to or something like that. Subject to. I
Mhm.
we done done so many. I don't even remember what it said. I just know it say subject to on the front.
I don't know exactly what line it's on, but you're right. It definitely says something to the effect of subject to the existing financing or subject to the current loan. I want to say it's like line 308 or something like that, but don't hold me to that. But we got plenty HUD settlement statements that we can show the students and teach them what to look for when they ask that attorney to send them a preliminary HUD. When they get that preliminary HUD in their possession, there's a few things that they want to make sure that's on there, and it's a number of things. So what we need to do is just have a webinar just on how the HUD is supposed to look, because that's your legal document that you got to protect yourself for the rest of your life. And as
Yep.
long as it's done right, then you are in the green. Go.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna put that together for you guys next week. As you know, if you some of my students, you know we just testing this stage 10 out, so pretty good so far. We're still working out the kinks, but next week we're going to be able to put the hoods on there and show you actually, and we're going to show you how these properties look. Because we're not talking about ugly houses, guys. That's for when you wholesaling and rehabbing. We're talking about pretty houses that you want to stay in, your mom will want to stay in, your grandma, nice houses, anywhere from 100, 200 to $1 million. People are signing these properties over, guys. Nice properties, little repairs. That's what you want. You don't want to really take over no crap piece of junk unless you're getting a lot of equity in it. But if it needs a lot of repairs, I'm not touching it. But it has to have equity in it. To just say,
Yeah,
for example, they over leverage and need 20,000 in repairs. Nah, they can keep that one. Next.
yeah. I can hear some of your students probably saying right now, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Okay, well, stay tuned to next week. We'll show you what we're talking about.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna let you guys get back to your Thanksgiving. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Ed, let them know how they can reach you. What's your email address? Because I don't have the feed up. Like I said, guys, I'm still testing it out. Next week we have the feed where I can respond back to you like we do on our other on the Hangout app we have. But on this one, Ed, tell them a good email they could send you any questions or they want any coaching or anything like that. Good email for you.
Any questions, guys? You guys can contact me at info@housedestinyllc.com. Info@housedestinyllc.com.
Right. And if you guys, if you need any questions or anything, if you need Ed email address or anything like that, contact me. You got my email address, info@mrtransactionengineer.com, or you can hit me at eddieray8@gmail.com. Either one of those will work, and we'll take care of you guys. We want to get you guys closed out, man. I'm telling you, after that first deal, everything changes. Get that first deal done, your life changes. You'll probably never go back to work again. If you do go back to work, it won't be for long. It won't be for long. We're gonna get a little more to detail too next week. Tell our stories, how we got started, and all that good stuff. Just show you, man, this stuff really works. If you work it, it really works. Any last remarks, Ed? You want to leave them?
No, I totally agree with you. I love telling my story. I think for us to tell our stories helps it be more believable. And that's my goal. My goal, the remainder of my life is to actually help people really understand what they have the ability to do in this great United States of America,
Oh yeah.
which is the best country in the world
Woo.
to accomplish what you and I have been able to accomplish because there's no restrictions.
Bella, I'm on the
You,
thing, baby.
we can
I'm on
we
the
can take a
call.
guy
Please be quiet.
we can take a guy that just come out of prison, and we can turn him or her into a wealthy person in 12 months. We
Right.
have the ability to do that if they follow our lead, and we will be right there coaching them right along the way. If they follow us, I'm assured that the knowledge and the experience that we both have together, that in 12 months of signing an agreement with us, that they will never look for another job ever again.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah, boy. Hey, when you leave that job, man, that's so. Oh my God. Like I tell people, the real estate, the money is great, but the freedom, man, because money you can get money, money comes and go, but the time, the freedom you get, man, priceless, priceless. You can leave, go be with your kids anytime. You could take off, but it's your business. You could take off when you want to. You just can't beat it, man. It's priceless.
Yeah, I want to talk about next week. I want to help people understand value. I don't want people to continue working for $10 an hour, and think that they getting ahead. So I want to spend some time trying to help people get their mind right. I
Oh
want them to
God.
understand that they are way more valuable than $10 an hour, and don't allow somebody to tell you that that's what you worth. That's
Right.
all I'm gonna pay you. That's as high as I'm gonna let you jump. No, I'm gonna jump as high as I want to jump, and you
That's
ain't gonna
right.
tell me what I'm worth.
That's right. Preach it, bro. Shoot. Don't let nobody put no value on you. They can't. God said you can have anything you want in abundance if you believe.
That's so true. But we'll cover things like that to kind of motivate people to understand that they can do what we're doing.
Right. Okay, guys. Well, you guys have a blessed Thanksgiving. Be safe out there. We'll definitely catch you guys next week. Probably next Thursday. I got to check with Ed, but we're gonna bring you guys some more real and raw knowledge to help you guys be blessed, man, to change your life and change your future. And we do this, this is a free channel. We just give back because we want to give back. We've been blessed so much, man. We just want to give back and help change other people's lives. So you guys be safe out there. God bless you. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.